Yo, it's your boy Smoke with another Madden video. Today's video we're doing a Davante Adams simulation on a new team. Obviously with all the drama going on, Davante Adams requesting a trade, and the Raiders not having a great start to the year. He is most likely going to be traded within this week or the next week. So the first team that Davante Adams we're going to be doing a simulation of is on the New York Jets. Now, obviously, Aaron Rodgers is there, and that is his longtime teammate and a good friend. And they just fired Robert Saleh, so maybe they're trying to get a whole new look. Davante Adams, these are the midseason stats right here. Just a heads up for the New York Jets simulation. We did trade Mike Williams because the New York Jets have called the Raiders front office and have at least offered Mike Williams. So if we see if a trade is happening, that Mike Williams will probably not be there. But Davante Adams with 367 yards and 2 touchdowns. But more importantly, the New York Jets win the Super Bowl. They are Super Bowl winners, according to Madden, if they get Davante Adams, if they go out and pull the trigger and do this big-time trade. So the New York Jets beat the Seattle Seahawks 31-24, with the New York Jets getting their second ever Super Bowl. Super Bowl MVP, Aaron Rodgers. NFL MVP is Brock Purdy. Coach of the Year, Andy Reid. Lamar Jackson, Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Marvin Harrison. And Brandon Frisk, Defensive Player of the Year. And let's go and check the season stats because, normally I would just check the receiving like I did for the midseason since it's a wide receiver video, but since I won the Super Bowl. Anyway, Aaron Rodgers, he had 32 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Braylon Allen actually beat Breece Hall on the season stats, and, it's kind of been looking like that. Breece Hall is kind of off to a very slow start. Breece Hall, 9 rushing touchdowns. Anyway, the man of the hour, Davante Adams, the person we're doing the video about, 1,005 yards with only 6 receiving touchdowns. I mean, that's not bad numbers by any means, but for Davante Adams, could definitely do a lot better. Al Lazard, 13 receiving touchdowns and 908 yards. Garrett Wilson up finishing in third in the team with receiving yards with 807 with 9 receiving touchdowns. Next team, the New Orleans Saints. They are projected to get Davante Adams. They're in one of the top 4 of the teams that we'll be doing. So, anyway, an ex-teammate, Derek Carr, at quarterback, even though he did just suffer an injury, unfortunately, so he'll miss, I think Derek Carr's missing like 2 or 3 games. I don't know. They haven't fully come up with the full report, but anyway, Davante Adams is linked to go there as one of the destinations. Anyway, midseason stats, Davante Adams is second in receiving yards. Raheed Shaheed is first with 402 and 5 receiving touchdowns. Raheed Shaheed's pretty solid, and, Derek Carr loves throwing the ball. Anyway, 381 yards for Davante Adams and 1 receiving touchdown. And Chris Olave, 323 yards with 2 receiving touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, 236 yards with 1 receiving touchdown. Juwan Johnson with the receiving touchdown. Obviously, I started this season from week 5, so everything you see from the midseason is basically what has already happened so far because, we're only 2-3 weeks away from midseason. Anyway, the New Orleans Saints, they finished and they missed playoffs. They finished with an 8-9 record, so they're not quite good enough to make playoffs, and that's pretty shocking, considering they've looked good. At least they looked good the first 2 weeks of the season. They're starting to fall off a little bit, which is not great, and Derek Carr's gonna be missing games in real life. But anyway, Davante Adams finished on the season with 74 receptions, 1,084 yards, 6 receiving touchdowns. Chris Olave second on the Saints with 930 yards. 6 receiving touchdowns as well. Raheed Shaheed led the team in receiving touchdowns with 7, but he only had 688 yards. Still not too bad of a season. Juwan Johnson, 550 yards and 4 receiving touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, 6 receiving touchdowns with 525 yards. So, Davante Adams, that's like very similar to the stats on the New York Jets. So, didn't really do a whole lot better. I mean, obviously did better in the sense of winning a Super Bowl, but stats-wise. Anyway, the third team, the Buffalo Bills, Davante Adams, midseason, he has 404 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. The lead receiver for the Bills right now is Khalil Shakir with 439 yards and 5 receiving touchdowns. Curtis Samuel has got a touchdown as well. Keon Coleman's doing all right. The Bills, they are the second team to make the playoffs so far, but they are first-round exits. They lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars are doing pretty bad so far this year, so that's kind of shocking to see right there. But, yeah, The second seed loses to the seventh seed. In the first round, the Buffalo Bills get knocked out by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So let's go and check on the season stats. Let's just go and see Josh Allen's real quick. 4,231 yards. That's quite a bit. 39 passing touchdowns with only 6 interceptions. That's an amazing ratio, not only for Josh Allen, but any quarterback. That's an amazing ratio. You know, Josh Allen does throw a little bit of interceptions, but that was very good. James Cook, he did all right. Josh Allen had pretty good rushing. Khalil Shakir was still first in receiving for the Bills by a lot. I mean, God, 1,116 yards, but I'm mainly focusing on that touchdown. 15 receiving touchdowns. Davante Adams, only 5 receiving touchdowns and 899 yards. So, production-wise, I mean, they still made the playoffs, but so far he has had the worst statistical season on the Buffalo Bills. Now for the fourth team, we got Davante Adams. And, you know, Steelers are really shocking so far this year. And Justin Fields, he's been doing all right. Pretty good in the first 3 weeks, but he's starting to cool off a little bit. Anyway, mid-season, George Pickens is leading with 469 yards with 2 receiving touchdowns. Davante Adams, 396 yards with a receiving touchdown. Then Pat Freiermuth with 243 yards and a receiving touchdown. Calvin Austin, I'm pretty sure he's a rookie this year. Or, no, he's not. But he was just a rookie a couple years ago, and he's got a touchdown. Anyway, the Pittsburgh Steelers are eliminated in the first round to the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs are the second seed according to this Madden simulation, and it's a pretty big loss, honestly. It's a blowout, 42-17. So that's not a good look for the Steelers. I mean, I get you're the 7th seed, but you don't want to lose that bad in any playoff game ever, let alone lose in general. No one wants to lose in a playoff game. But anyway, let's go check the stats. Justin Fields, 3,812 yards. Horrible ratio of 12 passing touchdowns to 18 interceptions. That is very bad. Anyway, let's check the rushing. Najee Harris, 1,053 yards with 7 rushing touchdowns. Justin Fields ran quite a bit with 6 rushing touchdowns, 429 yards. Jalen Warren, 230 yards. George Pickens was the leading receiver with 934 yards, only 2 receiving touchdowns. Davante Adams had 3 receiving touchdowns, only 866 yards. Calvin Austin, 524 yards with 2 receiving touchdowns. Pat Freiermuth, 3 receiving touchdowns. And Najee Harris, 193 yards. So that's the end of the video. Obviously, the best fit, according to Madden, would be the New York Jets. I mean, they won a Super Bowl. You can't do much better than that. And then obviously Davante Adams would like to retire a Super Bowl champion because he is one of the league's best wide receivers of all time. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe.